How are you guys? Welcome back to Wargaming China. And what we've got you today is a look at Chinese cavalry. Now, all sides fielded cavalry in China. The Japanese, the nationalists, the communists, the warlord forces. And if we looked at the history of the war, we would see that the most significant contribution made by cavalry was during the campaigns along the Beijing and Suyuan railway track and the Hankou and the Beijing-Hankou railway track between August to December 1937. Cavalry played a large part in these campaigns, and indeed there were actually some actual cavalry clashes between the Japanese cavalry and the Chinese cavalry. If we looked at the organisation of China's cavalry in 1935, there were 8 divisions and 11 brigades of cavalry, but only one division and a couple of brigades were actually the forces of the NRA. The others, although fighting alongside the NRA, were still warlord forces and were organised as such. Now what we're looking at here is a model 1935 cavalry regiment. Now, if you like what I've talked about so far, you should give me a like. If you like more of this stuff, you should press subscribe, because I never know when I'm going to make a video or what it's going to be about. Okay, so in 1935, the Nanjing Cavalry School set to work on a new organisation for cavalry that it hoped to use as a standard formation throughout all of China's cavalry forces. Now, you've got to understand from the very beginning, there was a large shortage of horses in China. There was a shortage of saddlery, and there was a shortage of men who knew how to handle horses within certain regions. Like in Yunnan never raises a cavalry force. But Shanxi, Guangzhou, Manchuria, the former Northeastern Army have cavalry is always a big part of their forces. So in order to standardize the cavalry, what the Nanjing Cavalry School decided to recommend, and it was the government decided to try and adopt this, try to reconfigure its cavalry into this, was to have 3 regiments, 3 or 4 regiments in a cavalry division. Now, as soon as I say that, you see how complex the situation is. So what I'm going to stick to is just a regiment. A brigade is 2 regiments. A brigade of cavalry is 2 regiments, and we're doing 1 regiment. So the new cavalry regiment would consist of 65 officers and 1,500 men. Now, they were divided up into 4 squadrons, and each squadron had 4 platoons of 41 men, and that they were divided up into they had 4 squadrons. Each squadron was divided into 41 men platoons, and each platoon was divided into 3 12-man squads, and provided with 2 pack horses. The MG squadron consisted of 3 platoons with 4 medium machine guns and 6 horses. Then there was a gun company, a gun squadron, and a gun squadron consists of 2 platoons of 2 37mm infantry guns and 2 75mm pack howitzers. So let's have a look at that for the wargaming table, because as I said, what they configured and what was achieved, not exactly the same things. So if we looked at a cavalry company, it would be 175 men. So in rapid fire that would be 12 mounted figures. And that's probably too much, because if you look at the earlier cavalry formations, cavalry formation had 175 men, but only 90 of them were mounted. That was the lack of horses in China. So I decided to make the squadrons, 4 squadrons, at 10 mounted figures each, and the cavalry, if they were lucky and they were formed properly, each platoon, each section was armed with 11 rifles and 1 LMG and a pack horse. Now, so for rapid fire, that's 4 companies at 10 horses each. Then we come to the HQ. The HQ, and that's 4 figures, a CO and 4 figures. Because the 65 men in HQ of the regiment, and 6 figures and 2 machine guns for the machine gun squadron, and then 3 figures and 2 pack animals. And you can't have both, you can either choose one or the other, the 37mm infantry gun or a 75mm mountain gun or pack gun, whatever you want. Finally, as you can see there, an armoured car platoon. An armoured car platoon consisted of 2 armoured cars and 2 motorcycle sidecar combinations. And it was very, very unusual for a cavalry formation to actually get its armoured cars. But here I fielded them with Eagle and Globe armoured cars. So there you go, for the campaigns of 37, late 37 and the winter of 39-40, this force will do nicely for me. Now, if we looked at the basic cavalry formations before 1935 model, I'm going to show you what they look like now, because it's a whole different kettle of fish. And we'll look at the Northeastern Army. So in the Northeastern Army, yes, a brigade is still 2 regiments of cavalry, but because the Northeastern Army is generally conducting anti-bandit work, there a regiment for the Northeastern Army Cavalry is 4 squadrons of 6 mounted figures. That's it. And a brigade is 8 squadrons of 6 mounted figures each, which is a lot easier to make than the 1935 model. But the 1935 model is what I'll be using when I do these campaigns. When we go back to the Japanese army and their cavalry forces. I don't know how I'm going to do them because I don't know anybody that I don't know. I'm not, maybe I'm misinformed, but I don't think anybody does Japanese cavalry in plastic. So it might be a while before I get those forces on the table. Now, a quick word about the other cavalry formations. Of course, there's the Ma, and they're a case on themselves. That's their formations. But in the background, you can see the Austin Putilov armored cars. Now, I'll just mention these quickly because you could operate the Austin Putilovs with your Northeastern cavalry up until about 1933. But I would suggest you have to roll every time for breakdowns and repairs. The Austin Putilov served in many places. Actually, you know what? I'll close my mouth about the Austin Putilov. But if you've got the Northeastern Army, you can field 1 or 2 Putilovs with it. Okay, but not, as I said, after 1933, 34. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you press subscribe. And didn't say how I made the models. Oh, okay. Well, these armored cars are from a Russian company. This armored car is from a company called Early War Miniatures, great company. That's an Oxford die cast. That's the 37mm infantry gun is Kit Bash, and it's actually a Type 13, which is the one that is a longer barrel and fires a slightly larger shell. And again, another homemade MO3 75mm mountain gun. And the figures themselves are from the original Airfix Horse Artillery, World War I Airfix Horse Artillery. They come with, I think, 3 figures in each box. So I've bought many. I bought over 20 of them to get my Chinese cavalry on the table. But I've used the gun and parts for the guns and limbers for so many other models and homemade stuff and scratch builds. They were worth it in the long run. About the horses. Now, each squadron should have a different colour horse. This is me because I did my cavalry about 15 years ago when I wasn't as informed as I am now, and I actually built 6 to represent a brigade. Sorry, I built 6 saber squadrons. So I needed 3 colours. But if this was it's 4 different coloured horses. This was always so in cavalry regiments. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you can press subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.